For over 2 years, Fantail Studios has been on an incredible journey filming Lucky Te Koha and the Kingdom Brotherhood team as they share the radical healing power of Jesus Christ with the Mongrel Mob Kingdom and the Whakatane Black Power MGs. As this feature film Manaatua, meaning the greatness of God, nears completion, we're believing this will be a movie that not only showcases how relentless and unconditional God's love is, but this will also give viewers the opportunity to look beyond the gang patch and see the hearts of the individuals behind them. As we eagerly anticipate the release of Manaatua, we'd like to introduce some of the key individuals that we've had the pleasure of meeting along the way.
Joining us in the studio is Duke. He's a man with an incredible heart and someone who has been on an amazing life journey, not only with the Mongrel Mob, but also with the Lord. So with us today is Duke, a senior member from the Kingdom Mongrel Mob. Good to have you along, brother.
Good to be here.
Yeah, bro, it's good to have you here with us today.
Thank
and
you.
just answer a few questions. And we're just wanting you to share your heart, so people can hear your heart, and massive heart that you have too, brother. You know, and I acknowledge what you do and the time that you put into doing stuff for what you do, bro. You know, always going to others. I really, really acknowledge that. One of the first questions I have is, whereabouts are you from, Duke?
I'm from the Waikato region. I'm from a little town called Waharoa, which is in the centre of Waikato. So, yeah, for where I'm from, maunga kawata maunga, tainui te waka, Waikato te awa, putatau te whirawhiro te tangata.
And you know, the reason why I asked that was because the story of Tarore comes from your whare tūpuna, eh?
Aye.
So could you share a little bit about that Tarore, please?
Aye, Tarore, one of the stories back home in Waharoa is about Tarore. Tarore was a young girl, around about the age of 12. She was coming back from a mission in Tauranga, coming over the Wairere Falls over the Kaimai.
That's right.
And she was coming through there with her father, Ngā Kuku, and along with her younger brother. And so they were bringing her back from her mission that she was serving in Tauranga. That would have been in the year 1839. And during that time, they rested up the top there of the Wairere Falls. And during that time, there was a war party from Te Aroha. And, you know, at that time when war parties are on the run, they're on the run. And so the father picked up the younger brother and ran for recovery, and thinking that Tarore was behind him. And so when he did turn around, he knew Tarore was nowhere near. And he heard her squeal, knowing that she had been sacrificed by that war party at that time that was coming through the Kaimais. And that was on the 19th of October, 1839, I could recall that. And it was through that event that when she was sacrificed, she had a tonga around her kaki, which was her neck. Yeah. And that tonga was her Bible, and that Bible was the book of Luke. And anyway, one of the warriors at that time grabbed that tonga from her, and to cut a long story short, that Bible was taken from the north right down to the south, and it sees a lot of war between certain tribes, because at that time, one of the tipunas that got a hold of it was the son of Te Rauparaha, which was Te Rauparaha Tamihana, the son of Te Rauparaha. And that Bible apparently changed a lot of lives and brought a lot of Māori people into the heart of the Lord and Christianity. And so that's one of the stories. So she's in Waharoa. She's in a place where she's isolated from a lot of other cemeteries, because at that time that event, and also she was also the niece of Te Waharoa. The reason why she was buried is because she was made tapu. And through that event also, you know, being the great niece of Te Waharoa, there was no other tribe that claimed war on Rotorua longer than Ngāti Hawa, 10 straight years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's powerful, eh? Was that the revival that came from that Tarore when they took the Book of Luke around?
Absolutely.
It was. So that was known as the biggest revival globally per population, is that right?
Absolutely, correct.
Yeah.
Wow. When you reflect back on that story of how that Gospel of Luke went all throughout the land, and then what God's been doing in your life, do you even see some parallels of what He's been doing with you and what He's doing across the nation now with the way that His love is flowing through the land and the things that you're seeing?
Absolutely. I look at that, when you talk about that travelling throughout the land, the kōrero and with their Bible, it spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
And the Lord, or the Atua, how we want to acknowledge the man above, He's done a lot of similarities in my life. And a lot of that is working with a lot of our men. It's part of my calling.
Yeah.
Part of my calling. And, I've been given an opportunity within our kingdom family to have that opportunity to go out there, along with our ariki, our Pastoral, along with our kaumata that you spoke with, to go out there and just share that love.
Yeah.
That's not just talking about man's love.
Yeah.
That's talking about the love of the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's a different love.
Yeah. Amen.
And when you kind of go out there and you promote that and you protect that, project that, it just knocks it all over. People feel the Spirit, and in terms of what you was just sharing with me then.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
Actually, I spent a bit of time at your marae when I was a young fella, because we grew up down the road. And, when I came back that time when you had your first hui there, man, it was when the teko was brought down that's standing in front now with the Bible, eh? It shows me that God was in the marae.
Absolutely.
Hey. And it was really warmed my heart when I seen that when they put it down from the roof to put it when the children can see it. Eh, is that the true story of why they brought it down?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that teko plays a significance within the marae back home. You don't get many tekos holding the Bible.
Yeah, that's right.
Now that tupuna holding the Bible, his name is Tara Pepe Te Waharoa. When he was baptised, he was given the name William Thompson, which is Wirimi Tamihana.
Oh, true.
Now he's the great-great-uncle to Tarore, and he's also the son of the chief Te Waharoa.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh.
Ka pai.
So, in saying all of that, did you grow up with God in your life?
Well, the good Lord was invested in me by my grandmother.
Yeah.
It was invested in me by my grandmother when I was probably about 3 or 4. My grandmother lived with my grandmother. I was kind of like a lonely child, Yeah. Really didn't have any friends around me. The only thing I had around me was animals, because we stayed out in the wops. And the only thing that my grandmother would do would read her Bible and work in the garden. And, I remember the first scripture that I led talked about our Father which art in heaven, e tō mātou mātanui te rangi. And so a lot of that stuff was invested in me as a child. And when you have good things that are invested in you, those things they never leave you.
Yeah.
And they're always there. So there could be times where I could be sitting amongst my big extended family, and all of a sudden, just out of the red, my grandmother comes into my mind. And we start, just start thinking about those things, especially when you find yourself in a role trying to help other people. As was explained earlier, they talked about historical trauma, where you got people raised in state homes, and they're in social welfares, and they're in ball stores, and next minute they go to corrective training, and next minute they're in the prison, and you're caught in the system. And when I start working with that caliber of people, I find myself surrounded with my grandmother.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Powerful, man.
I've heard a lot with some of the different members that we've been connecting with from the Mongrel Mob Kingdom today, and one of the threads that has been coming through is that the deeper seeds still find the light of day. That there's been the praying mother, the praying grandmother, there's been the person in the community that has sown those seeds, but sometimes 10, 20, 30 years later, they actually start to break ground.
Absolutely.
Has that been your story as well with what God's done in your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely has been part of my story. It's like, You know, I find myself in times like that when you kind of work, like I might go off track here, when I'm kind of working with brothers in the kingdom. And, you know, when you're working with brothers in the kingdom, and who was born out of the kingdom? You had Mongrel Mob Waikato, you had Mongrel Mob Hamilton, you had Ngā Whānau of Manguru, you had Mongrel Mob World, you had Mongrel Mob Whānau. Then you got all those spread throughout the nation. And when you find yourself working with that caliber of men, as you were saying, you know, whether those things, all those experiences happened in my life probably about 30 to 40 years ago, just like that. They come immediately to the mind with all that kind of teaching to reaching out to men. It's not so much reaching out to men, hard men to reach, it's just reaching out to men, you know, like I said, it's like our brother, you know, he always talks about, you know, you got to go out there, you got to share the love. There's the physical love and there's the spiritual love. And there's the love of God, which is different to the love of man. Now when you go out there and you promote that love or that aroha from his aroha, working with men that are all from different pockets that are connected to the kingdom, it just has a way, of not only dealing to the men physically, but it has a way of dealing to them spiritually.
I think that sometimes we can have physical challenges in our life, like we can be experiencing addiction and you know, poverty and these elements, and we can bring practical shifts around those things, and they're important, but sometimes the physical things, or rather the practical things, are actually fruit sometimes of a spiritual problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's at times we actually got to address the spiritual problem to be able to bring healing to the physical problem. Have you been seeing that, and what does that look like in your world?
Well, yeah, no, I kind of go back to, as I was sharing about the relationship of my grandmother. You know, I lived in the spiritual realm for a long time, and you know, and I was very shallow with the spiritual stuff in my life. You know, like I was saying, a lot of the changes happened for me in prison. You know, because I was locked down, I was shackled down. You know, I didn't have access to all the things I was doing, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs, robbing and rolling people, whatever they may look like. I found myself at a place where I had to really look at the man in the mirror. You know, I had to really good look at the man in the mirror, because one thing in prison is you try and take a bit of pride in yourself. You know, because you walk out and you want to look your best, and you want to physically look your best and mentally look your best. And so, you know, you kind of wake up every morning, you know, you make your bed, you straighten up yourself. But one thing that you always look at every morning is the mirror. And so I had to have a relationship with the mirror, you know, because I knew for myself that if I wasn't honest with that person in the mirror, I couldn't get it right with Tom, Dick and Harry, you know. And so every time I looked at that man in the mirror, I was getting more and more deeper, really knowing the true fella that was looking back at me. And so along with that, because you're on your own, and you know, what you do behind your door is what you do behind your door, because no one can see what you're doing, you know. And so, you know, I started talking to myself more. I started having a more true reality of conversation about knowing the man in the mirror a little bit more. And then, you know, at that time, the values of my grandmother came into my mind. And then we had good leadership roles as our ariki for our organisation. And it was always about planting positive seed. It was about progress. It was about advancing. It was about going forward. And a lot of that you had to do on your own. You know, my relationship with that man above, my business.
Hard out.
Hey,
It's good.
It's my business. What he and I have in common is my business, because we all know that the man above, he knows all our hearts. Hey. And there's a scripture that goes, you know, that, you know, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not of your own understanding, and acknowledge him in all your ways and he'll direct your path. And I believe that. And that's the same mentality of our ariki and our kaumātua that they have for our crew.
Was that a long process? When you're looking in the mirror, we're talking days, weeks, months, years, that transformation. What was that journey like?
That's years.
Years,
That's years. There was years, because, you know, one of the words that was talked about earlier, we talked about, you know, being trauma or historical trauma, what that may look like. Now you imagine what that takes to unpack.
Happens in a moment, a long time to unpack.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is your heart and role right now, Duke? I mean, I know, but Jared doesn't and others don't, so...
My heart and my role right now, is always looking what is best for our people.
Yeah.
Now, when I talk about our people, I talk about the kingdom, I talk about Mongrel Mob Waikato, Mongrel Mob Hamilton, Ngā Whānau Manguru, Mongrel Mob West Coast, Mongrel Mob World, Mongrel Mob Whānau. And I only talk about the pockets within our own region because we've got to get it right amongst ourselves. And so we have a leader that sets the tone, he sets the pace, and we do our better to contribute to that family. So what is the best thing for me right now is to always reach out to those men. As we talk to our men, no matter what level the conversation is, we are discipling our men. We are discipling them. And so that's what's in my heart, 20, 30 odd years ago, you were young, you probably, and I was, when I came, I was around about 17, 18, I'm 50 plus, and I want to see changes in my time. I don't want to do all this work and you don't see the true fruits of it. And one of the things that we have in our organisation, within our kingdom family, we have a prince, which is our Ariki's son. And he has a big role in the responsibility that he has, that we have to pass down to him or inherit to him in terms of the new changes within society today. As you know for yourselves, there's a dog-eat-dog attitude out there in a big way. And so we try and put out the right tools, the right skills, and try and equip our young generation to the best of our ability to make a way going forward when we're not around.
What are some of those changes that you want to see?
Some of those changes, one of the changes I could say education, right? But education is failing our kids anyway. I could say education. I could say skills. What are those skills? They could be plumbing, they could be building. It's just trying to give them some skills in terms of finding a way to go forward. That's also sitting around the table, listening to the kōrero, connecting with the conversation in terms of giving them a set in mind, because when you look at the set in mind out there in the community today, it's an ugly one. It's an ugly one. Things are getting ugly. If you ever watch that program, Greed versus White Collar Crime, we're all caught up in that system. So when I talk about those changes, I don't want this next generation going through what I go. I go to parole boards, I'm on conditions, I get told where to stay, I get told who I can associate with. I get told you can't go to church unless you've been approved by probation. So you got all this sort of stuff that's going on, and that's only part of it. So we got to think, we have to see the bigger picture for our young people, because our young people is the next generation. If we're not careful, they will be the next generation of incarceration.
That's right.
But we're looking at our young people, at our young rangatei as the next generation to carry it through in terms and relation of leadership, good leadership. You make that man the centre of everything, surely you can't go wrong.
Surely, So your nana, she instilled the Lord's word into you,
Yes.
Who was it? How did you end up coming back to him, like solidly, when you came back?
How I ended up coming back solidly to the Lord, there comes a time in our lives, There just comes this time in our life that you just need a little bit more. And that time came into my life. It just came unexpectedly. I knew the values, I knew the principle, the morals that I had learned. Do I make mistakes? Of course I make mistakes. Am I the perfect person? Definitely not.
Come on.
But we tried to be perfect like that man above, And at the same time, we just look at those that are leading the waka, look at our leaders, look at our taipura, look at the arikis within the ranking structure, and when I kind of observed by looking around, it kind of tells me where I'm at, where I'm at. And, like I say, there comes a time in my own personal time, and it comes twice. It comes twice in a day, where I have that time with him. You know, before I came in here, I went into the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, and told him there's a reason for our family being here today.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's to come here and not only to speak about the past or talk about the present or to speak about your truth, but have that opportunity to speak into the spirit of questions that are coming this way today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your current relationship with the Lord, how does that flow into your everyday life in giving you strength, in giving you vision to keep you on the path that you're on and not to get pulled back into the old ways?
Oh, look, the current situation today is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I know where I stand with him.
Yeah.
I have that relationship with him. I have equipped myself with good people that are around him.
Yeah.
I have good people that I can go to for advice. I have the kingdom that has always been there for me. I have a leader, we have a leader that's always been the rock that doesn't compromise or shift in any way. We have faults, we have falls, we have challenges, we have struggles. But those, you know, it keeps, you know, the more you help people, the better you get. You know, when it's like the word manakitanga, mana enhance, ki tu, tanga person. When you can go out there and you can help someone get their life back on track, and you know that you're part of that process, it just does something for you. And that's why I say, you know, when given the opportunity to talk to our men, to disciple our men, it just does a lot for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know?
It does, mate.
Yeah.
Hey, and just about the time that we've had together, Duke, you and I see a pastor in front of me. You know, a calling of a pastor. Your heart, you have a pastor's heart. And I'm going to ask this: do you think you're gonna go down that track? I mean, you already are.
Okay.
But do you think you'll ever go down the track of becoming an ordained pastor?
Yeah, make it official.
What I'll say there to that question, and I'm just putting it out there for myself. I'm a provider, I'm a preacher, I'm a protector, I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
I believe I'm doing those right now. And, you know, it's with those qualities, it's with those skills that help myself to reach out to those families that are hard to reach.
Yeah.
And to make it official, you know, that's another chapter in my life.
Yeah, and let's be clear, it's the Lord that makes it official, not a piece of paper either.
Yeah,
you know, unless you're called by the Lord. But there is a thing, you know, He calls,
Yeah.
and then man recognises what God has called and set aside.
Awesome.
You know, so do you see there being that call of God on your life to expand that side of who you are and keep breathing on it further? What do you think's down the road?
I see that call on my life right now. I see that call on my life right now, you know. And, you know, I'm ready for any challenges, but I always put it back, you know, that, you know, it's always coming back to the kingdom family.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what the Father or the King of all kings wants me to do,
Yeah.
then that's what I will do.
Yeah.
If that's where my taipuri wants me to go, I will go there, but I will always remain within the kingdom because that's part of my calling.
Yeah.
Part of my calling is it's like our kaumātua, you know, when we pray over our family, you know, I pray over my immediate family, I pray over my people, but I always go back to the kingdom, Mongrel Mob, and from the kingdom, Mongrel Mob Waikato, Mongrel Mob Hamilton, Ngā Whānau Manguru, Mongrel Mob World, Mongrel Mob Family, whānau, and all the other different pockets throughout the nation. That's the disciple.
Yeah.
Those are the reaps of the benefit of the mahi that I feel that the Father above has already got me in the position of authority with the approval of our taipuru to go out and reach out to these men. And like I said, the more I reach out, the more my relationship with the Lord becomes more cemented.
Yeah.
It's more cemented in reality.
Yeah. That's good.
What are some of the positive changes that you're seeing as you're reaching out and you're sowing those seeds? You know, some seeds are like you, it might take 20 years for them to grow.
Absolutely.
Are you seeing some of those seeds sprouting, or what does that look like?
Oh, I see a lot of the changes happening. You know, I see better fathers.
Yeah.
I see better grandfathers. I see better husbands. I see men standing up to speak their truth. I see men, when you get men that talk about their trauma, that is incredibly difficult to share. That is such, that experience, to share your trauma is really incredible, difficult to share because it's a part of our lives that we wanted to keep bottled up because it done no good.
That's right.
It done no good. And a lot of us bottle up because we don't want that kind of attitude or that kind of spirit for our young generation. And like I say in my own ways, that we're at a time to probably have the last bite of the apple to make a change where we can actually see change in our time. And so I see them be better fathers, better grandfathers, better husbands. There's the old ones that are still doing it, but they'll find their way. I see them, some of them that come into Te Atua, some of them come to huis, with their women, because, women at one time used to be out of sight, out of mind. The violence that within our own culture or within our own family, that has hugely decreased. Decreased. And what I say in that way is, one is that we make the man above the center in all things that we do, and that while we're in this physical world, we stay close to our leaders. And we have a good leader. We have a good leader. I don't say that to put him up there because he's our type. I say that because I speak my truth. Because I've been around them men well over 38 years. And I am where I am today. And, I see men in my age that was around us in that generation, and they're still serving time, and they're still caught up in the gutter, and that's okay. That's okay, but when we see those brothers still caught up in those gutter, we still share their love with them.
We just want to thank you too for your time today, Duke. I was looking forward to. We were both looking forward to seeing you. Always look forward to seeing you, Brother Duke, because you are solid, bro. You're pono to your word,
Cool.
And I just see what you do in the community, and we often talk about it. And it is hundreds that you're helping. Hundreds. It's huge. It's not measurable, like Atua said earlier on,
Awesome.
So just honour you, brother. So thank you for your time.
God bless.
God bless, bro.
Most welcome.
Te bro.
God bless.
Fantail Studios is a registered charity creating powerful shows through the help of generous givers. To find out more about supporting Manaatua and helping us bring this incredible film to life, please visit fantailstudios.com.